Welcome to the Think Factory podcast. We got one question for you. What keeps you up at night?
I'm your host, Chris Santomassimo from OGC Solutions, and I'm here today and very excited about it with Danielle Ruttenberg. Danielle is calling in from Philadelphia, and she is the co-owner and the co-founder of Remark Glass. So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's a pleasure, in particular, because one thing I love about these podcast conversations is the opportunity to speak with entrepreneurs such as yourself that are not only doing really interesting work, but have a mission and then are also, doing some things ancillary to their business to solve a problem. And so just a little bit of a teaser, in addition to your business at Remark Glass, is some of the interesting things you've done in your business community to provide retirement benefits for companies, firms that usually wouldn't have the same type of access if not for the organization that you've done.
Yeah, we really look at our model to be a triple bottom line model where we're talking about our people having quality jobs, our planet reducing the amount of waste that we're looking at and looking at as a design opportunity rather than just trash. And then also, of course, bringing money into the circular economy and taking that trash, bringing value to that, and then creating value in our local environment.
Well, let's take a step back for a second. Tell us about Remark Glass, and I think people maybe are getting a little bit of a picture of what you do just based on some of the statements you made so far. But let's take it back to the beginning. How'd you get started? What's your mission, and what are you doing today?
So part of our model is that we're in a repurposed building that has really interesting internet problems.
Not a problem.
But yeah.
When you say repurposed building, by the way, what kind of building are you in?
So this is an adaptive reuse building called the Bach Building, and it used to be a school building back in, it closed down in 2013, but it was built in 1932. We can talk about that in
the Bach Building.
The Bach, B-O-K. Yeah,
I'll be okay. Got it.
It was a VOTEC school in Philadelphia for many, many years, and among many schools in 2013 closed down. Just in terms of capacity, and this is a gargantuan building with very, very thick walls. So it has been now adapted to be housing over 175 small businesses in South Philadelphia.
Very cool.
So,
very cool.
But very, very thick cement walls. Also, as bomb shelter use. So.
Well, at least you know you're protected, right?
Exactly. So I will go back to the start of what Remark Glass is, what we do.
Yeah.
We have a circular model approach to glass blowing, in which we are taking glass bottles out of the waste stream and we are reinventing them by heating them up and turning them into new wares. As simple as a glass that you would drink out of, all the way to commercial lighting and different circular products where we might work with another brand and co-brand a new solution for someone like a drink company, a Coca-Cola, a Maker's Mark whiskey. They're looking to do something circular with their waste product and turn it into a really awesome kind of beneficial resaleable product. And that tells a story. And that's kind of the exciting part of what we do, is that the glass has a history. It also gets to live on and tell a new story after we've remarked it.
Very cool. So you can really, you can entirely change the shape of an article that you pull out of the waste stream into something completely different, or maybe something similar to what it was originally.
Absolutely, yes. We are looking at, we really do kind of assess the bottles to dictate what we think might be the best solution for what they will become. So a 750 ml sparkling water bottle tends to be what we call a stemless wine glass in our studio, because of the diameter, because of the thickness, because of color. So we're really looking at all of those attributes of the glass to kind of dictate what it can effectively become through our glass blowing process.
I'm curious. You used Maker's Mark as an example. Those are really uniquely shaped bottles. If you were to be able to cull those particular bottles from the waste stream and sort of segregate them, would you be able to reuse them for for the original packager, if you will, and changing them into something special for that company?
Yeah, so we've done some projects with Maker's Mark specifically in which we actually took their glass and melted it all the way down, a little different than some of the products that you'll see on our website, and then reformed it through a mold blowing process into like a double old-fashioned style rocks glass, if you will. So that in that case, the glass is again being melted completely down in a furnace where it looks like a soupy cauldron of hot glass, and then we're blowing it in the more traditional style, but it is 100% recycled Maker's Mark bottle glass.
Oh, very cool. So I love the mission. I mean, you're really solving for a problem, which is how do we minimize waste and how do we reuse, just from the get-go.
Yes. It really did start from a creative place, looking at a very available resource, waste bottles, and they are, depending on your drinking habits, you might have a lot of them in your house. But also, I mean, it's such a commonplace object that we have sauce jars, salsa jars, any sort of glass household product has something that we can use or we see as viable. What is the word? It's a viable resource. And where it's treated currently in a lot of recycling systems, it is downgraded to a non-reusable resource. Glass can be melted time and time again, collected through generally a single stream process that kind of devalues the properties of the glass and commingles it with other properties that cannot be recycled in the same way. So our first step was, okay, take the glass out. What else can we do with it? It can go back to a variety of different end markets if it's treated properly. For us, again, it really did start in a creative space where we were looking to a bottle that, again, maybe had a history, and we would like to showcase it in a way that's not just collecting dust on the shelf.
Indeed. There must be an economic benefit as well, because it would seem to me to be a lot cheaper to get a hold of recycled glass than it would to buy it new.
So it's definitely cheaper to get a hold of. There is a great deal of labor in processing the material. However, we have seen a lot of fluctuation in the market in terms of new source materials for glass production, wavering over the last couple of years. So glass sand, there's shortages throughout the world. Silica mining is expensive and hinders parts of the earth as well. So in looking at this as a very available resource, I think that we're a little bit ahead of the curve in terms of thinking about how we will need to, as a human race, look at our resources as we're going forward, as generally things start to dwindle and be less available for us to use.
Right. But I love the mission, which is recreating, reusing. You can't argue with that for sure. How long have you been in business?
We started in 2016, so 8 years. And we also have Bottle Underground as our nonprofit arm, which we founded in 2020, kind of in the height of the pandemic. And that allowed us really to start to have a community-facing arm that was bringing more glass out of the waste stream, creating a larger environmental impact, but also working in workforce development and creating jobs that are gearing towards green manufacturing, recycling, and again, that circular economy concept that we're talking about.
And so the Bottle Underground, does it? I know it's connected obviously to Remark Glass, but does one foster the other in a sense? Meaning, does Remark Glass provide some opportunities for jobs within that market?
Yeah, it's definitely a two-way street in a lot of ways, and there's training that can kind of cross between both segments of the business. And the source materials that we need to make the work that we make at Remark Glass are coming from Bottle Underground. We kind of earmark, we know exactly what products and what glass bottles need to come out of that waste stream to come into Remark Glass to be turned into, let's say, highest value objects. And then there's kind of a couple of other end markets that we're sorting for, and getting back into larger glass to glass manufacturing in the South Jersey and Pennsylvania region.
Fantastic. And so Where would somebody who wants to take a look at the products that you manufacture, or even talk to you about something on a special order basis? How does somebody get in contact with you for that?
Um, so you can definitely look at our website, which is just remarkglass.com. And you can find us on social media, Instagram. We have a fun TikTok and Instagram video reels that kind of really showcase the process and how we do the reinventing of the glass. And it's always fun to watch. You can always just reach out directly here, or you can come to our showroom. We're right in South Philadelphia. We have a lot of visitors here. Again, we were mentioning the Bach building is a really fantastic kind of cultural hub that has over 175 small businesses, a couple of restaurants and bars, and we have a good time here. There's a lot of amazing vendors and makers that have been working here that generally live and work in the South Philadelphia area.
Hopefully, the bar and restaurant are using the Remark Glass.
Yeah, we do some really great collaborative work here.
Terrific. But this is not the end of the podcast. I don't want people to think
Yeah.
that there's nothing more to talk about. So let me set the stage real quick. I noticed you and your company because I read an article about you in Inc. magazine, which was fairly impressive.
Thanks. Yeah, we have been involved with the Sustainable Business Network in Philadelphia for many years, and it was through that we were in that Inc. magazine article. I can talk a little bit more about the why of that if you'd like.
I would love it. Let's not be so mysterious. What really caught my eye is um, not only are you doing some really good stuff from a community basis with your business, but also because of the Sustainable Business Network in Greater Philadelphia, you've really created a program, a retirement benefits program that businesses like yours maybe or similar businesses wouldn't otherwise have access to if not for the fact that you've put together a coalition, so to speak. So talk a little bit about how that started and what you're up to in that area.
Yes, so through the Sustainable Business Network, there was an opportunity for us to sign on for a 401k program in which we would be working together or collaboratively with other businesses within the network to be able to access better benefits for our employees, and namely this 401k program, which was so special to us because what it does, and this is through Entrust Financial, what it does is reinvest sustainably. And so we were really interested in that because it speaks to our mission and allows us to kind of put our money where our mouth is. We've been doing this, and as a small business, we've done a lot in terms of impact without a lot of without any investment. I hate always using the word bootstrapped, but we are in fact a bootstrap business. We started this from our own, or built our own way up to what we are. And so to be able to have a benefit, a retirement savings program, not only for ourselves as owner workers, we've been doing this blood, sweat, and tears way, but also our employees that have really worked alongside us to build this company. To be able to give back in that way, I think, is just a really invaluable message. And the economy's shifty. Like, we want to showcase that we can stay small, make wise decisions, and continue to support something that we love over time.
Yeah, and in addition to creating availability for the program, you've also got some targeted investing within the 401k that's been made available because of the mission.
Absolutely. I can't speak a lot to the investment side. I do have a lot of trust in Untrust. I have a great relationship with Jennifer Bravo, who was also mentioned in the article. And right. I always do try to, as a small business owner, delegate the tasks that I know are not my strongest point, and that is what I trust her for.
That's what you bring in the expert for, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, one thing that caught my eye in or one of many things in the article that caught my eye was the fact that participants can select mutual funds and companies that meet that higher than average standard for environmental, social, and governance practices. So that's again circling back to the model of Remark Glass and Bottle Underground. You sort of created this closed loop that's all mission based as well.
Everything that we have done from the beginning and I think that we started talking about closed loops before I even understood what the concept meant.
Yeah.
I think it came very organically and holistically to us to think about how we invest in ourselves, to invest in people who are like us that might not have the same opportunities as people like me, or somebody who is a working mother, or somebody who has a justice impacted background. We wanted to make sure that the opportunities were there, and then also that we're spreading the mission of seeing the future with an environmental lens, because I don't think there's very much room to make more errors in the pathway towards manufacturing if we're not considering the resources that we do have available to us and how they might not be accessible in the future. So if I don't continue to pay forward and make sure that other companies are starting to think that way as well, or have the opportunity to through financial investment, then I don't really know what I'm doing here, you know?
Well, I really believe that some of the most successful businesses, the reason that they're successful is that they stay true to their mission. They stay true to who they are and who they also want to be in the future as they grow and develop and mature. And so staying true to your message and what you're not only what you're good at, but also the interest that you're trying to serve, other than to make a profit. To sustain that the way that you're doing, I think is really impressive.
Thanks. Yeah, I think that we and I do have a business partner, and we make very calculated decisions together. Always think a little bit about where our heart is and what we think is right. Is it always the most business savvy decision? I don't know. Like I know that we've done things oftentimes thinking a lot more about our people, or how the materials are facing a different future if we don't treat it differently. So I think also being on the forefront of that thinking process, it gives us a great ability to be pilot, like pioneers. Pioneers was the word. We were piloting programs. We're pioneering a whole different way of thinking about material studies, and it's costly. We're doing a lot of experimenting, a ton of R&D. That being said, we're also resourceful and looking towards are there tax benefits to the way that we're looking at what we're doing? Are there grants? Are there other things that can support this R&D so that we can make sure that we're not breaking our backs for no good reason, and that there is a positive way that we can start to integrate this into larger manufacturing platforms, not necessarily selling ourselves out, but implementing processes that we've developed on a small scale in a larger setting.
Yeah, and I think that's true. Just because you get bigger and do more of what you're doing doesn't mean you're selling out, so to speak. It doesn't mean you have to get away from your mission. It just might mean that you've got a broader impact because you're doing higher volumes. So, but again, staying true to what your message is and your mission, I think, is important. And obviously, you've got that in mind. And I also think, in business, every decision that you make in the course of your business is done on a balancing basis. There's so many there's many anyway competing interests within a business. It's your people and your profit and your operation, your stability, all those things coming together, and you find the right balance that favors one over the other to some degree every time you make a decision. But being conscious of what you're trying to do and the people that you're trying to serve is critical, and you're obviously doing it every single day.
We are trying. We are definitely trying, and it is definitely. I think small business this year especially, it's been so interesting. We've had a wild ride through the COVID years, and I think that this has been an interesting plateau. I feel like maybe it's the election year. I'm not really sure, but there's been a lot more volatility in buying habits and a lot less predictability in our cash flow. And that's like, as we've grown a lot over the past couple of years, it's bigger things, bigger problems. And so we are, I'm eager to see how 2025 brings new perspectives, hopefully, and maybe new opportunities for small business to continue to thrive in this environment.
Yeah, and what else do you see coming down the pike, whether it's election related or not, or business related? What do you foresee for 2025 for Remark Glass and Bottle Underground?
So we've been pretty heavily focused in the wedding market. We do a lot with people's sentimental bottles, where again, somebody's wedding, somebody's anniversary, and we're reinventing that specific glass back as a beautiful keepsake gift. So we do have a really unique foothold in that market because we're doing something pretty unique in what we're doing. And I see us continuing in that path, but also continuing to strengthen those the B2B market and looking at those brand specific products for companies that do have really strong ESG models who are looking for opportunities to showcase through corporate gifting, through resale, bringing glass back into their markets. And I'm very interested in developing some more kind of calculated relationships that would kind of showcase the process that we do and give them an opportunity to showcase that as well.
Well, that's a great way to sum it all up, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Well, given all the things that you've got on your side, as we've talked about, it sounds like you're primed and ready to do some interesting things in 2025 and beyond. So I hope it continues as well as it has so far.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I hope so as well. I think that we've made it this far, again, small group of people, really a lot of grit going on here. And I think that I see a good future for us. Yeah, all things considered, I hope that it just keeps going.
Terrific. Well, just to sum it up for today, this has been Danielle Ruttenberg, who's the co-founder and co-owner of Remark Glass and Bottle Underground. On the Think Factory podcast. Danielle, thank you so much for sharing and telling folks about all the great things you're doing in Philadelphia. And this has been Chris Santomassimo from OGC Solutions, who power the Think Factory podcast. And we'll see you next time.